All right, I'd like to welcome you to this edition of In the Conference Room with Mark S. Lee. I hope you all having a great day, having a great week. And again, thank you all for the overwhelming response for a conference room. We've been doing this for several years now. And we have another very special guest joining us from CBS News Detroit, a relative newcomer to the Motor City, Mr. Ronnie Duncan. And he's the sports director over at CBS News. And I'd like to welcome him to the conference room. And Ronnie, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And official title is sports anchor reporter. So uh, I guess since I'm the only one in the department, just say the department.
Sports anchor and reporter. We're going to make sure we got that correct for you as well. Before we kind of dive into the conversation, as I referenced, you're relatively new to Detroit. How did you end up in Detroit? I know you're from Baltimore. I mean, you're very proud of Baltimore, correct? But kind
Very
of give
proud of
us,
Baltimore, but I have fallen in love with Detroit from the time that I stepped here. You know, it's sort of funny. Detroit looks a lot different than until you become a part of the Detroit community. And I'm just overwhelmed. I really am. It's a great city, great history. I've always known about the history. One of my favorite contemporary boxers of my time, and we both turned 65 this month. I turned 65 Saturday. He turned 65 on the 18th, and that's Tommy Hearns. And just having an opportunity to be in a place that Emmanuel Stewart called home, and knowing
Mhm.
the influence that he's had personally on my life, meeting him back in the 80s in Phoenix, Arizona, when he would bring the boxers there before they would go to Vegas, and the relationship that we were able to develop, it meant a lot. So I'm a very spiritual person, so I know that he's had a hand with the man upstairs of getting me here in Detroit. But I've been in the business for well over 45 years. Started in radio back in the 70s, and went to a World Series, Pittsburgh and the Baltimore Orioles, and of course Willie Stargell, and that great group of individuals did what they did, and they beat the Orioles. But I've been a sports fan as long as I can remember. I can tell you the starting lineup of the '66 Baltimore Orioles that beat the Los Angeles Dodgers in 4 straight games in 1966. So
Wow.
sports has been part of my DNA for quite some time. But being a spiritual being, I know that there's a reason for any success that I've had, and God is that reason.
Yeah, just to pause for a couple of things. One, it's funny to hear you say that. I can give you the starting lineup for the 1968 Detroit Tigers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and just I mean, I can tell you right now, it's as clear as day, man. First base was Norm Cash. Let's see. Second base, shortstop was Ray Oyler. Third base was Don Ward. Left field. Second base was Dick McCullough. Left field was Willie Horton. Center field was Mickey Stanley. Right field was Al Kaline. The catcher was Bill Freehan. Starting pitcher was Denny McClain, and the manager was Mayo Smith.
Yeah, that's good. Andy Etcheburn was the catcher. You can go ahead with Jim Palmer. You can go ahead with Dave McNally. Of course, those are some great pitchers. Frank Robinson out there in the outfield, Paul Blair, Don Buford. You talk as far as first base, then you got the one, the only Boo Powell. On third
Blue
base, you got
Powell.
the one and only Brooks Robinson, who just passed away, Davy Johnson doing his thing, and Mark Belanger. But at the time,
Man,
Aparicio was still doing what he did. So the 66 team was quite an iconic team for me. It was the first time I recognized what a world championship was all about, because the Baltimore Colts had won during the year I was born in 1958. So you knew about all those great days, Lenny Moore, Johnny Unitas, Mr. Parker, doing what they did. But at the same time, you grow up in that atmosphere. And I can tell you with
absolutely.
67 riots here, and knowing how traumatic 68 was, and the killing of Dr. Martin Luther King in April, the killing of Robert Kennedy in August, the Mexico Olympic Games, and baseball is in the mix of all of that. And I can remember a gentleman that brought me to tears at spring training, Willie Horton, when we were all
Mhm.
sitting outside and asking for autographs. He said, "So what do you want, young fella?" I said, "I want to be able to interview people like you." And he
Oh
said, "Well,
man,
you can
that's
do whatever
cool.
you want to do." So to know that I'm hanging outside of a Memorial Stadium, you know, back in 1968, and this man who I knew was a superstar in Detroit. And, I mean, we go back to a point where, there was the Ebony and Jet magazines, and you would see your
Hmm.
black superstars. And that was the edition
Hmm.
that I always looked at to see how many black or players of color were in the major leagues. And so, be it Willie Horton or some of the other, um, Gates, uh, who played here, black superstars, it meant a lot. You're talking about the domination of the sport. And even though we weren't at the greatest numbers, we were such great contributors. I mean, when you speak of Detroit, you got to speak of Willie Horton. Got to speak of Gibson.
Absolutely.
At the same time, you're looking at St. Louis. You got to speak of Bob Gibson and what he was doing, and so you take great pride in that. And I think it should be nothing short than someone admiring Al Kaline, someone admiring Hank Greenberg, because of the simple fact of their heritage or their culture or their race. And I think if you can be proud of someone for all of those reasons, then great. Another thing is that I'm not the only greatest thing to come out of Baltimore to contribute toward Detroit. Al Kaline went to Baltimore City College High School.
Yeah.
So did I, class of 90. So
There's that connection.
yeah. So it's nothing new. I mean, Detroit is just bigger, but there are a lot of elements from a community, from a racially mixed culture that is both in Detroit as well as in Baltimore. So I've fit in my year and 2 months here. Some things have been hard, but it's been more easy than hard.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, it's about Willie Horton. And back in '60, I used to play Northwest Detroit Little League, right?
Um,
And he obviously was a legend amongst us little leaguers. And he lived 2 blocks from me. And
wow.
we had the opportunity, he will always come to our annual luncheon. Now imagine being 6, 8, 10 years old,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And the great Willie Horton comes to your little league luncheon, big time, won the World Series. Yeah, he shows up at his luncheon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most recently had the opportunity, you and I both had the opportunity of attending Miguel Cabrera's last game.
Hmm.
And before the game, I had the opportunity of sitting with Willie Horton one-on-one
Wow.
for 25 minutes, 20 minutes before the game even started. And we just shared stories. And it was just awesome to hear him. He was telling me right then and there about the '68 series and what he experienced. And it was just truly, as a humbling Detroiter, a native Detroiter, to hear from a hometown hero like that.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Even at my age, I still get goosebumps. And I say, normally, as you are, I mean, I'm a sports fan, but I'm a professional first.
Yeah.
In that moment, I put aside the professionalism and said, Mr. Horton, I got to have a picture taken with you.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I think we have to be real with who we are. We
Hmm.
were sports fans before we were anything. And I think to lose that is wrong. You can still be a professional at what you do and how you conduct yourself, but at the same time, your childhood is not dismissive from your life. You remember everything about it and all the joys. So if that picture of Willie Horton means something to you now, that was genuine then and is still genuine to this day. I mean, I can just go back the other day and I said it on the air and everybody probably looked at me and laughed, and I can get pretty emotional at times. But Phil Chenier is one of my favorite all-time players.
Yeah,
But he played in the
absolutely.
same backcourt as Dave Bing, because when Dave Bing was traded from the Pistons, he went to the Washington Bullets.
That's right.
And he was in the backcourt, with my Phil Chenier. And it was a tremendous backcourt that they had together. When you consider the mere fact that the '75 Bullets were supposed to have won the NBA championship, but Rick Barry and his cast of characters with Phil Smith and Jamal Wilkes was a rookie as well, ended up winning. And so, I mean, those are my memories. And I said on the air, I can, I tell you what, I'm done now. I've met Dave Bing, and that's all I've ever wanted to do, because that was something, special. But I think anytime you can look at the achievements of an African American athlete who can have a college degree, can be a stand-up citizen as a basketball player, means so much to the city. Remember, the Pistons weren't like the winning Pistons
No, they were not.
in his time. And yeah, Ray Scott, was part of that whole thing that traded him to Washington, or the Capitol Bullets at the time. But you also have to look at the fact this was a basketball player who became a tremendous businessman, who ended up becoming mayor of the city, regardless of whether you say, well, I felt like Kwame Kilpatrick was better, or Coleman. Maybe they were. And there are reasons to say that they were.
Mm-hmm.
This is an NBA player who ascended to that. So that means that a young kid like me Okay.
Yeah.
Growing up can go, I saw you in the NBA. I saw you take municipal office. And look what happens. 2008, there's an African American who becomes president of the United States. So
Mhm.
anything can and will happen, and we're not done. That's the one thing I love about Detroit.
Mhm.
When there are people at the
That's awesome.
table, Detroit is always saying, in this African American community, where's my cut? Where's my share? And it's not begging, it's more of a demand. And I'm proud of that. As a Black man, I'm proud of that, that Detroit does that. So when I see the Derek Colemans of the world, when I see individuals who put this city on the map, like Jalen Rose, I applaud that. And I applaud them because they're doing such a tremendous job beyond their
Hmm.
field or court of play. Robert Porcher, South Carolina State, MEAC,
Hmm.
still here in this city, still contributing toward the better of individuals. So, am I proud? Yes.
I
Um,
mean, that's all. I mean,
do I root for them? Absolutely, because
mhm,
their success generates even my success. We
absolutely.
all help one another. I think sometimes we have to recognize that we're a proud race of people. We're monolithic, and at the same time, we're not, because everyone has their own way of doing things, and everyone is unique and as an individual. However, we come collectively together like a choir singing a song when there's something to applaud and be happy about,
Hmm.
if there's something to pray about, if there's something to be happy to be associated with. And so when you say names like Tommy Hearns, when you say names like Robert Porcher, when you say names like Isaiah Thomas, who's not from here, who's moving back here,
Just
and you
moving
look at
back.
the Jalen Rose, or you look at the Dave Bings, who's not from here. Dave Bing is from Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
I remember how good of a high school player he was. That's how far
Hmm.
back I go. But
Hmm.
when you come here and you're accepted by people here in Detroit, you have no other choice in your life than to get on board. And I'm glad to be here. And if
That's
this is
awesome.
this is my last stop, I'm gonna make this my best stop.
Well, let me tell you a Dave Bing story. Everybody who knows me knows about my family history in the city. Obviously, you know about my legendary dad in Detroit. When Dave Bing was drafted by the Pistons, this is a well-known story, so I'll share it. He played for the Pistons, didn't make a lot of money. He was number two draft pick behind a guy named Cazzie Russell.
Oh yeah, Michigan,
Cazzie went to the University of
Michigan's
Michigan.
Kazuras went to the New York
And
Knicks.
yep, and what happened is Mayor Bing came to Detroit, and during the off season, my father actually hired him. And he obviously had to supplement his income. They did not make the money in those days they make today. My father hired Mr. Bing when my father worked for NBD Bank, National Bank of Detroit, which is now Chase Bank. And my father put him in the management trainee program. It was awesome. Here I am as a young kid going down to Cobo Arena in those days. And my brother was a ball boy for the Pistons. And we would go down and see Dave Bing. After the game, we had access. We would go down to the locker room, and then we will walk. We will walk from Cobo Arena, and Hal Greer was a dear friend of my family's as well. So the Sixers would come to town. So there's Dave Bing, Hal Greer, and my dad,
Wow.
myself, a young kid, walking over to the Pontchartrain Hotel, which is where the players stayed those days. Where I'm going with the story is Mayor Bing eventually started his company, Bing Steel. He obviously became mayor of Detroit, to your point, but he also made the comment. He tells the story. There was this man who hired me when I played for the NBA for the Detroit Pistons, and that's where I got my foundation for understanding business. That became his business acumen under my dad's tutelage for Bing Steel. And so he's a good friend of my family's. He's a legend. Mayor Bing knows how I feel about him. And I love what you're saying because this is a nice segue into how you're covering sports here in Detroit. You're not just giving the scores, man. You're not just giving the highlights. What impressed me about you in our conversation recently at Comerica Park, we were sitting there chatting, is you're bringing a different angle. Talk to those checking us out today about the angle that you're bringing. You're bringing a uniqueness that this city has not seen in a long time. Talk about that.
Well, I wear many hats here. When you see me, you just don't see me. Um, you see me with the camera in my hand. You see me with the microphone in my hand. You see me with the computer because I'm editing. And so as I will have help at sometimes with an individual who may want to be there because they're a big fan or they want to be at the event and they happen to work here. Those are the very few times that you see me not alone. But I work by myself, and I think it's very simple that if someone really wants the scores and really wants the highlights, they can go to ESPN for that. But if you want that inside look of something that's taking place in Detroit, only in Detroit, and about Detroit, then I may have exactly what you're looking for. I try to make sportscasts to the point that everyone can enjoy it. And yes, I'm trying to attract the non-sports fan because I don't want you to turn away, turn the TV off, or turn the channel when it's time for sports. I want you to see that I love the fun and the games of it. I know the seriousness of it. I know the economical impact. I know the social dynamic that it has on people. And I try to bring those kinds of stories out. There's a kid by the name of Drake Reed who goes to Wayne State, who in 3 years has already amassed his bachelor's degree and is working on his master's. Not the greatest football player, but he's one of the finest student athletes in the country. Had a 4.0, has had a consistent 3.5, and is now up for one of the most prestigious academic scholar awards and athletic awards that can be given out. Then, the other day I decided to go to the game with a sports fan who happens to be, 11-year season ticket holder, and he's so happy about the Detroit Lions, and he's so happy about this 4-1 team. So those are the kind of stories that I try to look for today. How about the economic impact that the Lions are having right now today at 4-1? One of the least, as a matter of fact, they were at the bottom of the list of total revenue in 2022 of any NFL team. Okay, Dallas 1.3 million, not 500 and something million, 1.3, almost doubling what the Lions were able to accomplish. But now with this Lions fanatic and the mere fact that the team is doing so well, the numbers are creeping and going up. So now you have Aiden Hutchinson in the top 25 of jerseys that are being purchased by NFL teams and by NFL customers nationwide, worldwide, and he's creeping up to number 25. So now you're seeing more people recognize the Lions. They don't know all the Lions players, but they know that Honolulu blue. They know that color. They know that pride. This is a working person. I don't like to use the expression working man city because then you alienate the women, you alienate the young people. This is a working people city. If you work hard, Detroit's going to appreciate you, and you're going to appreciate Detroit. It's the comeback city. And as we are all coming back, we can all engage in this comeback, but at the same time, we can all contribute toward the comeback as well. So that's what's happening with Detroit. Yes, I'm drunk on the Kool-Aid. Don't forget February 11th, Super Bowl, Las Vegas, Nevada. Only one place you can see it, and that's CBS News Detroit. You're not going to see it on Fox. You're not going to see it on ABC. You're not going to see it anywhere else, NBC. The Super Bowl with the Detroit Lions will be in Las Vegas February the 11th, 6:30 kickoff on CBS News Detroit. I told you first, and I'll tell you, guess what? What comes first comes last. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Question. All right. Do you ever read the Bible?
Absolutely.
Okay. You know the expression, the first shall be last and the last shall be first.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the first NFL game of the regular season that counted? Everybody had to watch the first game. Who was it?
The Lions of Kansas City.
Who was that? NFC, AFC?
Well,
the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So if I'm trying to tell you right now, Super Bowl coming up right here, CBS News Detroit, look out. Kansas City, here we come. I'll see you in Las Vegas. And if you want to bring somebody else in there, that's fine. I'm not afraid of Philadelphia. I'm not afraid of the 49ers. I'm not afraid of anybody else that's 3-2, but we're 4-1. In the game that we're 4-1, Christmas came early for Seattle. Merry Christmas to you.
Absolutely. I would tell you that
all you got to look at the schedule. Look at the schedule, Lee. Look at the schedule. Show me who they can beat on that schedule.
Oh, I believe it. Hey, look, I've been a long time.
You're afraid of the Raiders? You're afraid of Baltimore?
Let me tell you something.
I know you're not afraid of Baker Mayfield.
This is the best. I've been watching Lions games since 1966.
Say it loud.
I
Say it
think
loud.
19.
Be lions and
This,
proud. Say it loud. This is the best
oh,
what?
I mean, let me tell you something. Wait. You see, you don't know me well enough. Everybody in Detroit knows. I call them my beloveds. I, they are my beloved. You gotta understand. See, everybody sees me. I'm just cool, professional, build the role. No, man, you give me the people do not call Mark on Sundays from 1 until 4. They know they better not call me. Don't text me. All right. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I've been going to football games since Tiger Stadium 1966. I have seen every possible win, every possible way to lose a game. I am not one of those Kool-Aid drinkers. I'm not one that jumps on the bandwagon. I am truly a die hard. I mean, literally a die-hard fan. So anybody in the city knows that, and they know me, they will tell you that that's how Mark feels. So how do I feel about this year? Man, when we beat Kansas City, first of all, let me pause for 1 second. Detroit's a new America's team. Okay, there's a lot of curiosity about the Lions, of course, right? But that Kansas City game, before the whole Taylor Swift got the phenomenon got involved, that was, as you know, that was the most viewed program on TV since last year's Super Bowl. 27,
Absolutely.
27 million people.
Say it again.
27 million
Say it
people,
again. You know
right?
them stats. I like that. I like that about you.
Yeah, okay. So my point is, as the Lions' momentum continues to grow, the numbers are going to continue to grow nationally. This team is going to be discovered. And this team, I will only say that I have never seen a defense play around like that. I have never seen a team like this play with this level of intensity. I have never seen this team play with this level of grit that truly represents the pride of Detroit, man.
There you go. There
That
you go.
toughness.
I don't. You know what? I should be interviewing you. You shouldn't be interviewing me.
You and I
Good
gonna do
job.
the we're gonna do a pregame show. You and I will do it together. Yeah, I do strictly business on CBS News.
Hey, look. Like what I tell you. See, what Mark ain't gonna tell y'all is that the first day when we met and we were sitting up there and we were talking, I said, "Look, man, this ain't 1957. Tobin Road ain't walking through that door." And you looked at me like, "How you know about the history of the team? This ain't 1953. This ain't 1957. This is 2023. And
Hey,
on February 11th, 2024, you can call me drunk on the Kool-Aid. It's actually type T, but you can call me drunk on the Kool-Aid, drunk in the wine. Do you forget me? Well, look, let me tell you, baby, they going. They going. It's the Duncan factor. When I say it, it happens.
I told my son years ago, my son lives in Chicago. He's still a huge Lions fan. And I remember he was doing, he'll tell you this. He would say,
Look,
I've seen
everybody's
my
a huge
dad.
Lions fan.
No,
Look,
no, 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 no.
everybody, everybody is.
But I'm
Come
talking
on, man.
about, I'm talking about,
Yeah, but
Ronnie, I'm talking,
we talk about excellence and independence. Come on, man. If you weren't a Mel Farr fan just because of the way he played, you were a Mel Farr
but
fan
I'm
because
talking
he
about,
had a dealership. You know
but
what I'm saying?
I'm
I
saying
love Detroit. Love Detroit, not
my
Detroit.
son, my
Y'all got a
son,
swag though. But you know
my
what?
son has seen
I
me.
ain't know. I almost couldn't tell you was from Detroit because you ain't have a Jerry curl.
Hey, here it is. Ooh,
Y'all
drop the mic.
look. I
Drop
would go
the
to Vegas. I could spot people from Detroit. When I saw a bunch of bling bling on furs and Jerry curl, I say they from Detroit.
Well, what I was going to say is this:
I had to get you on that.
is you got to be good. I'm gonna get you. I see you face to face again. But my point is, way back in the day, my son has seen me on the couch slinging pillows at the TV, right?
Huh?
And I remember turning to when he got old enough. I said, "Son, true story." I said, "If they go to the Super Bowl, if the Super Bowl is played in Baghdad, we're going."
Oh,
This was
nice.
years ago. So Las Vegas, that's a lot closer to Baghdad. So,
You know
but
them
hey,
tickets. I tell you what, them tickets to Las Vegas are real cheap right now. Especially
well,
out of Detroit. Don't nobody think we're gonna go. So y'all gonna wait to buy a ticket on game 12, game 14, and the ticket price is just gonna go. Northwestern
hey,
Airlines ain't here no more. Okay,
well,
Northwestern
let
ain't
me
going no more.
when you were talking about my son, and you have a wonderful young lady, a wonderful daughter,
I have
who's doing
three wonderful kids. Matter of fact, there it is, all right there. That's all the kids. Okay,
all
that's
right.
Eureka, Joshua, and Jasmine. Everybody but Eureka is married, but we got 3 grandkids and we got one more grandkid coming. So I'll be a granddaddy times 4.
Congratulations. And your
And
daughter also works for CBS, correct?
that's
Oh,
it.
that's awesome.
That's Eureka Duncan on her 40th birthday with Nate Burleson, Gail and Tony DeCopel. So she's over there doing her thing.
That
So
is awesome.
I got the whole picture of the whole crew.
Well, I gotta tell you, man, I could talk sports with you all day. You see, we can keep going.
Oh, no,
But what
no,
I
we keep
want to
going.
what I want to do is just to introduce you to the audience, so to speak. And again, I mean, this individual is bringing a different perspective into Detroit sports. It's
And the
not
reason
just
I'm
about,
eating, because you're calling me during my lunchtime, so I got to get it
hey
in.
man, I'm not mad at you. But my point is bringing a uniqueness and style to Detroit, a city that deserves it, a city that deserves more than just the highlights, but the story behind the story. To bring the positive vibes about these young athletes who are doing well academically in college, about that fan who works hard Monday through Friday,
Mhm.
11-year season ticket holder, just has to go to a game because he wants to love it. He wants to support his beloved Detroit
Yeah.
Lions. To me, Ronnie, that's the uniqueness. This is a hard, like you said, hard working city, man. People love their sports. We embrace our athletes if they stay here for a long time. We embrace our teams, win or lose. We embrace our teams. And I love what you're doing in terms of the style that you're bringing to expose, I say that in a positive way, telling the stories of hardworking people in a city that truly deserves the recognition.
Well, I think sometimes when people don't see it, they can't conceive it. They can only go with a vision that is always promoted to them. He's from this part of the city, the east side, the west side. He's bad. No, I'm going to find those good parts on the east side, the west side, the north side, and the south side that are good and
Mm-hmm.
need the exposure. I'm going to bring lightness to it. Like a Cynthia Matthews, who works out of the basement of her home. You talk about that Detroit hustle. It's not about a line dance. It's about getting as many jobs as you possibly can have and buying the things that you want. And what she does is that, be it Central High School, be it Mumford, be it Cass Tech, be it any of these high schools here within the city, she's made a way to find a business there. And since it was sports related, I did a whole story on the mere fact that
That's
she,
awesome.
does embroidery and t-shirts and stuff, licensed stuff out of the basement of her home. I
Yeah.
think it's impressive, but she has that Detroit love. So when it came to the Central all class homecoming that I happened to go with a friend of mine who works here by the name of Logan Lanier,
Oh,
former
yeah, I know
Detroit,
Logan.
former Detroit police officer.
Mm-hmm.
He's exposing me to that. Or Ray Scott, the mere fact, I mean, and I'm a sports fan, but a sports enthusiast. And so somebody says, well, who won the NBA Coach of the Year in 1974? And I'm like, oh, I dig him out. And no, it wasn't. It was Ray Scott.
Ray Scott. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so if I felt like I didn't know the history, maybe we don't know that history as well as we should, because he took a sorry team, made it an adequate team, and a but average team. Okay. A young African-American coach who played with the Baltimore Bullets back in the day. He came out of the EBL, the Eastern Basketball League, Sonny Hill. The great Sonny Hill is the reason why we have Ray. But then you look at all the achievements, and then you see a brother like Monty Williams come to Detroit with a spiritual pride and spiritual focus. But then he's like, I'm ready to take that next step. And that next step isn't just about rebuilding the team. That next step is making an NBA champion. He came close with Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what he needs to do. He knows what he didn't do. Now we're going to be the beneficiaries of what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. You follow what I'm saying? So once the Red Wings get their act together, once people are looking at the Tigers, oh man, another sorry season. Oh, we weren't even 500. But guess what, baby? You were second best in your division.
Right.
It was in Cleveland this year. Remember, Minnesota learned from last year. They saw how Cleveland came out of nowhere and took it. Just give it to me. Took it from them. All-Star break, what did they have? 13-game league?
That's right.
So now we see how close that we are. Remember, you went to a season when you had so many baseball players, and you can look at Badu for an example. They didn't even have 1,000 major league at-bats on their resume.
Young team.
Case anymore.
Now I'm with you.
So now you're ready. So you add a piece here in free agency. You get Jeff Greenberg. You say that he's a guy who did this with Chicago Cubs. Yeah, he did some things with the Chicago Blackhawks, but now he's back in baseball. The man knows baseball. You look at Harris, the man knows baseball. You look at AJ Hinch, the man knows baseball. So when the Tigers come around, hey, fine.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. Look, Janet Jackson said it best. What have you done for me lately? We can look at Miguel Cabrera and we can see a bunch of these numbers, but that's the past. That's the past. Those numbers are gone. He ain't never going to produce anything like that ever again. So the 300 average, he ain't bringing that back. The 30 or more home runs, that ain't about to happen. The playing in 120 games, that ain't happening no more. Miguel, I wish you the very best in your retirement. But now it's time to say, take the shackles off, let them free, and let them play. You don't have to worry about Miguel no more. Oh, let's give him his at-bats. Oh, this is his final season. So-and-so, so-and-so. Yeah, it was good. It was good until the end. Let's move on. And so you're moving on. And now
you got the money. You got the money coming back on the books too, by the way.
Yeah, you got that money coming back on the books, and you can go out and get yourself somebody. No, you ain't gonna get a Bryce Harper. He's in Philly, but you can get somebody close to it.
Absolutely.
I
couldn't see it better, man.
You need that 4 and you need that 6 spot taken care of with a little bit more oomph, power, and we can move runners around. Burling, as long as you stay healthy, brother, I like you, but you got to stay healthy.
Riley Green's got to stay healthy too.
There you go. Got to stay healthy. All right. So if you're not putting it in Phoenix, Arizona, if you're not putting it in Florida this winter, I need you to put that in. I need you to come to spring training ready to roll. You know, early injuries happen because you're not in the best of shape. Your body can't just bounce back. Injuries are a freaky thing. They happen to every team. No one goes and gets we're never going to get injured this year with our best player. But it's what you put in. Hello, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. It's what you put in the early days of Willie Mays and what you didn't put in the early days of Mickey Mantle. See what I'm saying? If you just take advantage of the God-given talent and you work at it, you know, Michael Jordan is like a super Christian. Knows all the Bible verses. Every time you turn around, they got their word out and they study. What is studying? Studying is practicing. So you study to be the best. What do you think Jordan and all those guys did? All right. What do you think Bill Russell did? What do you think Wilt Chamberlain did? What do you think all the great winners? And the people, Wilt wasn't a winner because he didn't win championships. Yes, he was a winner. Okay. Ain't no rule change for Michael Jordan in the NBA. Not one. But they changed for Wilt Chamberlain. Okay. They changed for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Okay. Ain't nobody changed no rule for Michael Jordan. Okay. There's Jordan rules. Jordan rules ain't nothing compared to the real rules because you know what? We remember the physical basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And he got his baptism early by the Pistons. You can say what you want about Isaiah, but y'all know.
I agree.
I get tired of people talking about Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson can't hold nothing close to Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was 2010. 20 points, 10 assists. John Morant, he can get to 20 points, but he ain't getting to 10 assists. And then Isaiah had the efficiency from where the foul line?
And Isaiah, and before we go, Isaiah played in a physical league.
And he played when this team was sorry and nobody wanted to be here. He played during a time where Kelly Tripucka took a shot, and every shot he took wasn't a good one. Okay? All right?
Yeah.
He took and then you back up Kelly Tripucka and you bring Adrian Dantley in here. He never saw a shot he didn't like.
Yeah.
Okay?
Bringing back some memories.
You got to play within yourself. Rick Mahorn wasn't no star with Washington, but he became a star with who? Detroit.
Yeah, boys.
He wasn't no star in Philadelphia, but when he was in Detroit, he was a star. That's why he's still here. Who treated me the best? That's where I'm going to stay. James Edwards. Say what you want. Say what you want.
Buddha.
You can't coach size. You can't coach 7'1". You just can't. But
number 53, that baby, he had that nice fadeaway jumper.
Nice fadeaway jump shot. He knew it could pull him out of anything. You know, people don't realize, go look at Dennis Rodman's stats when he was in college. Dennis Rodman can't score. Yes, he can. See, everybody in this league can score. If you give me 15 shots, I'm going to make sure I'm going to score at least 20 points a game. You say, Ronnie, you can have 15 shots, a night. So I think we're missing it with the Pistons because Troy Weaver is a magnificent general manager. Soft-spoken, but Troy Weaver knows basketball. They've put something to get. Did you see the preseason game? I know we were all tied up. Remember, they lost to a Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant team, and they lost in overtime. That's not the Pistons of last year. That's a new Piston team that's going to do some things. And once Cade Cunningham stays healthy, we just talked about the healthy thing, it'll be different. But I think it's still important to tell those stories that will bring non-sports fans in, and that's what I do. So you just heard my sports IQ. I'll put it up against anybody in this market. Okay. But see, that's what I'm not trying to do. I'm trying to tell the people stories. I've got so many, I can't even tell you how many I've done. Okay. I like going live at Duo, primarily African-American spot. These people know how to act too. And yeah, I'll go to Uptown and I'll go to this sports bar, or this restaurant, or I'll go to the Lion's Den, in Waterford. But what I'm saying is that I want to give opportunity where opportunity has not been given. I want to showcase the best of this great area. Michigan has been good to me. I want to be good to Michigan. So that's what we do. That's the way I do it. That's how it's going to be done. I love controlling my own autonomy. I love shooting my own video. I love editing my own sportscast. I love writing my own sportscast. I love producing my own sportscast. I love being my own man, because when the end of the day is done and the failures are made, I only have one person to look at. That's me, because I knew what I was getting into when I signed the contract. So yeah, would I like to have a videographer with me, a camera person with me each and everywhere I go? Yeah, I would. But guess what? Maybe they don't move as fast as me. Maybe they're not as zoomed in as I am. Maybe they're not as dedicated as me. So who can I blame? No one but Ronnie Andrew Duncan. Is this a young man's game? Absolutely, it's a young man's game. But I don't care. I'm going to tell you one thing somebody ain't going to say about me who works in this building. He lazy. He don't care. He late.
I don't see that.
About me. You know why you ain't going to say that about me? Because all you're going to say, man, he always working. He always working. And that's,
I tell you what,
and that's the same mentality, because I know you wanted to hit on it early. And, when people talk about my kids, Jerika Duncan is my daughter, CBS national correspondent, weekend anchor of the Sunday News, part of the 48 Hours team. I'm proud of her, but I'm proud of Joshua, who's my only son in the middle. I'm proud of Jasmine, who's my baby daughter. And the mere fact that Joshua and Jasmine are both married, they've taken it, to another level. So, we're very proud. This young lady right here, she's holding up our grandson. That's Yvonne Griffin Duncan.
That's awesome.
42 years, and just, a magnificent time. So
awesome.
It is what it is. We do what we do. But we thank God for every day and every moment that we have. Every moment that we have.
On that note,
I don't want to go. I want to stay and talk to you. Forget work, man. I want to hang out with you all day.
Hey, I want you to check him out, Ronnie Duncan on CBS News Detroit.
6 and 11.
All right.
6 and 11, Monday through Friday, 6 and 11. And you might catch me on Saturday or Sunday because of Michigan is playing a big one. Or if that Ohio State game happens and them Buckeyes come through, you're going to see me. Huh?
And you can check me out also on CBS News Detroit with Strictly Business. Every Monday, we talk a little bit of business
stuff. The most highly rated aspect of our news is when you come on, because it's strictly business. It's about getting down. We counting them pennies, we counting them dollars, and we want you to do it right. So when this man gives you information, he tells you to go to the right, you go to the right. He tells you to go to the left, you go to the left. And the reason why, he's about making that money, y'all.
Well, on that note, man, Ronnie Duncan, hang tight, don't go anywhere. Hey, I appreciate you tuning me in the conference room. All of you tuning in, thanks for tuning into the conference room with Mark Esley. We will check you out next time. Go making a great day, making a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.